hierarchies, these artificial things, and we act as though they are set in stone and natural, right?
Yeah,
Like
hierarchy
there
don't
is
exist.
nothing that tells a man, there's nothing that tells a man except for another man, and I mean humans, I don't mean like the gender. There's nothing that tells a man that, oh, if your girl make more money than you ain't a real man. The only thing that says that is another human being.
We're
There's
not
nothing in
saying
nature that says that.
we're not saying, you know, that we're not saying if your girl, like a guy having, I made more money than a couple men I dated. Everybody I dated didn't make as much money as me. You know, that's not the challenging factor. What you said and what we're emphasizing on is like why men feel the way they feel when they're going through what they're going through, right?
And
Why
all we said is
why
because it's just so we keep perpetuating that
the
myth.
thing about it is because a man knows that, like, a man have certain set standards for themselves that just that's inside of them. That what makes a man a man. Like, you understand? Like we like women can do what men do, you know, if we have to. But at the end of the day, a man has a designated role, just like a woman does. We do. We have
Okay,
designated roles.
so how come when a man is the breadwinner and provider and he got everything going on, he takes the responsibility of being, you know, the person that makes you all the money, so he handles all the business. But when the woman is the one that makes all the money, she don't want to take on that responsibility.
I think there are women who want to. And sorry, SV.
I mean, they are, but from what
SV
she's saying,
been
the way
waiting.
she's talking about it, it's like she don't even want to take that responsibility because it's all about it's a man's role.
It in my opinion, it just goes back to what you guys were saying earlier, how it's all a feeling. It's that biological feeling that each of us get, especially men. I have never met a man who, it doesn't matter whether he was in prison or whether he's lived a vanilla life. It doesn't matter. Every man that I have met, and I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all have met, they all have that same deep feeling inside them that says, I should be providing. Period. Just like me as a woman, I have yet to meet a woman who doesn't complain about working. Never in my life. Haven't met not one. And I'm around women 24/7 and always have been. I've never met a woman who doesn't complain about overexerting themselves. I've never met a woman who's like, oh, yes, manual labor is the best thing ever and I want to do it for the rest of my life. Never in my life have I heard that. It's always been by circumstance that they have to do these things. So it's
Well,
like that.
I'll introduce
No,
myself.
I'm
I'll
in
introduce
agreement.
myself.
I'm in agreement. I agree with you, S Visa. I really do because me myself, I'm independent. I've been independent for a long time since I've been not with my husband. You know.
Hold on,
And
before you keep going, that's a lie that everybody was told. Anybody in here independent? You don't grow your own food. You don't. You go to the grocery store. You depend on their food. You depend on them.
You know what she
Everything.
means, that she's not
Interdependent.
dependent on, she's not
But I'm
traditionally
saying this is
dependent.
what
though.
this is the lie they wanted to believe. Ain't none of us independent.
Okay, so then if that's the lie, the other lie is that men and women are born with feelings that make them men and women in terms of money and jobs.
Oh,
If
yeah,
that's
I
a
was getting
lie.
there. I was getting there too.
Okay, because I'm sitting here like we listening to people tell all kinds of lies right now. Then.
I mean,
No, facts. That's a Western belief.
Right.
but
I mean,
I
there
just
are
wanna be-
certain things, there are certain feelings that heterosexual men and women have. Like a
So then
woman-
how do you explain this? How do you explain a continent where it looks like all of us were from, but we may not have been from the continent of Africa, so I don't want to assume things. How do you explain an entire continent where women were the economic center of life? Women actually ran the marketplaces and still do run the marketplaces or businesses in Africa. So they're just genetically different than the men there. The men traditionally, traditionally were the farmers, the gatherers, the herders. They did not run the marketplace. They didn't run business. They were not the money makers. How do you explain that if it's a feeling that's genetic?
So traditionally, so back in those days, the hut.
No, that's today too.
Oh well, I know about the island that's in Africa where it's ran by women, and they just utilize the men to reproduce. I know about that island, and I know about that island. They're allowed to have more than one husband on that island. If you're talking about that island right there.
Hold on.
No, I'm talking about
hold
the
on. They
continent of
use
Africa.
men only to reproduce. They don't use men to build the roads.
No,
the
they don't use
buildings.
men for nothing. The men
I never
just come
heard of
in,
this
the men
island
come-
before,
The men come from the mainland. They come in about 3 months out the year to reproduce. They're allowed to have more than one husband. If the women choose to marry them, the men they all stay in one hut.
But who built the infrastructure of this island?
I was just thinking that.
I don't know. I just read about
Well,
it.
let's just get the name of the island and we can look that up later. But how do you explain the billions of people? Over 1 billion, right? So let's just act like it was half and half. How do you explain that? They have a whole society, indigenous society in North America. Women ran, they built the teepees, they built the whatever. Men did the farming, they did the trading. How do you explain that? They're just different than us?
No, I'm not saying it. The farming and trading is a different type of work. When you're doing it like that's hardcore labor work.
No,
The
I'm talking about the women ran the money. They were the providers.
That's the same thing as back in the day when a man go out and work, he handed the woman a paycheck. She handled everything in the house. She organized everything. It's the same exact thing because that type of work is different.
Not really. He was actually just giving her a duty.
Nikki,
I don't know.
I think a better answer to your question for me would be back then it was a common sense thing. Men were out in the farms all day, right? So
I'm talking about today, y'all. We're not talking about back then. This is today.
Right. Who else gonna be in the farm?
Example that you gave. If the men were in the farms, then of course the women would have to pick up the slack and build the teepee. Like,
okay.
I'm just like siding with you for a second. Like it went hand in hand. Like,
okay, but so then it's not genetic. It's not a feeling. It's just social
The men couldn't possibly work all day and then go to the market and trade.
So what is most definitely genetic is women cannot manipulate the infrastructure in the same way that men can manipulate the infrastructure for survival, right? So based on those kind of things that are naturally, you know what I mean, through our evolution of human evolution and civilization, right? That's where all that stuff stems from, even attraction levels, right? Of course, it changes through the generations and things like that. But I mean, it's still the same thing. Like women are overwhelmingly attracted to men that are taller, bigger, stronger than them.
okay, but tall men over 6 feet are only like 5% of the world.
Right,
So
but women are still.
let's just say this. So even though you're saying that, it doesn't matter because we don't end up marrying people that height. We don't.
But this is the thing, right? That's still what you're attracted to.
No, it's not. That's just the lie that you've been told, like Rello said. That's what you've been told. Because if we were attracted to it, then we would only wait for them, biologically speaking.
Well, biologically, if you
Y'all ain't got no discipline like that.
If you look at it right now, then it is a smaller percent of men that impregnate the majority of women. So women are.
It's really not. It's not. It's really not. It's not.
And I do. I see where you was going, Nikki, but I think that was the wrong way to explain it. Because all y'all want niggas 6 feet plus.
All of them. What are we talking about?
And y'all all want 36, 24, 36, and that doesn't actually really
That's
exist.
where you guys.
But that don't mean we don't want it.
That don't mean we don't want it, right? It's not a social construct.
I think I hate when y'all do that, when y'all pick a specific height. It's not a 6 feet over, it's just taller than me.
Yeah.
Just a little bigger than me. Like, it's not, I gotta have a man with 6 foot. Cause I'm 5 foot 5. So like what's like if he
we know what you'll settle for. I'm talking about what you
want. Based on natural feelings, and nobody you could have been sheltered. Nobody would have told you. You know, women wanted the same type of men, right?
Now I think about it practically,
even before social media.
That's neck problems. That's neck problems.
This all we hear. This all we hear though.
Okay, this is all I want to say. I want for this part, you guys. What I'm trying to say is that we have all been socially conditioned to buy into these ideas of what men want and what women want. And at the end of the day, we know in our own lives that is not true, because at the end of the day, you work with what you, even as a human being, are given. You might have wanted to be 6'2", but you ain't. So you're going to do what you need to do to make it in this world. And in a relationship, in a partnership, in any of those type of things, the burden is on the people who are best able to do whatever it takes. This whole idea of men being providers and that's all they are. Women provide as well. Men do provide. I'm not saying you don't. You provide your area of expertise and your specialty. As a mother, as a person who bears children, I provide in that area, right? As a nurturer, I provide in that. Like this whole fake artificial division of that providing only means economics, it doesn't. And so if there's a man out there who literally is like, yo, I'm a hardworking motherfucking painter and I make $13 an hour. And I'm a good person though. And I'm a good provider in the home. I'm a good father. I'm a good friend.
Yeah,
I
most definitely.
guarantee,
totally
I
agree.
guarantee though, he will find that woman for himself if he's looking in the right places.
Well, yeah, but Rello kind of was saying that like provision most definitely goes beyond, finances and things.
Yes.
Rello had kind of already said that, and I totally agree with everything you said. However, right, you don't kind of you
Yes,
have to
I
go,
do. Yes, I do.
You have to go based on what's presented to you, like first impressions and things like that or whatever. So based off first impression, women go on those things, right? Is he, financially stable? Where is his finances? How does he look? Is he taller than me? And all those things, kind of what we were talking about, all the things go hand in hand, right? So like you never really, get to that point of, this is my partner, until after the fact. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Question.
So I had a question too. Go ahead, Avisa.
Have y'all ever met a happy broke man?
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
a few of them, they bum.
I met a person.
They bums.
I met a person
That answers that then.
it's
Like,
a lot. Actually, nowadays that's norm.
That's the norm. Right?
I met people that's content with where they at, but they know that they gotta grow. So they weren't miserable that they were in that spot, but they knew that they had to grow. And I wanted to like double back on that. Like a woman, it's okay if you're willing to take this man at this point he is in his life, if he's not fully mature where he need to be, if you willing to be like, okay, well, financial not everything. I'll cover the finances. I just want you. But at the end of the day, like I still believe, like for me, I'm 100%er. Like I bring 100% of me in a relationship. When I choose to be in a relationship, it's all of me. And then I want the same thing from the man that I'm getting. I'm not going to take 50% of the man because I'm not giving 50% of myself.
what if he's happy with his job? If he's like working at UPS and he's making $20 an hour, he got his own little spot. His spot is.
All right, so I'm not knocking him, right? Everybody got their own. It's like levels to it, right? So if it's somebody working at UPS who makes $20 an hour, maybe he need to be dating somebody that's only making $15 an hour, not shooting for a woman that's making $45 an hour.
And I'm not saying that he's shooting for.
So with that logic, shouldn't she be thinking the same thing?
She should. She really should.
She never does.
It is what like I said, I know people that then got married and had that happen to them. Like my coworker, she got a stay-at-home husband. He stay at home. He don't gotta work. He don't gotta do nothing. He just take care of the babies.
I mean, if it
What's
works,
wrong
it
with
works.
that? What's wrong with that?
It's nothing. It's nothing wrong
If
with
it work, it work. But it's just the thing, when we look at it from an in general perspective, most women don't want no house husband.
Well, then don't get those most women, and then that's just at the end of the day. Leave those most women.
Done.
Yes, no, it's not.
That's
Leave them
easier said than
alone.
done.
Leave them alone.
That's like saying go to the gas station right now and pick.
Okay,
any
so
scratch
then
off,
here's the other thing.
you
So
gonna
if
win
we
the
want to
bonus.
say most women of different certain races also prioritize men making money, but they're not sitting here getting looked down upon the race, right? Look at the freaking NFL. Most of those men have white women. Those white women prioritize finding someone, a black man, who made a lot of money. We're not over here having that discussion right now, but we're talking about most black women who prioritize.
I say a man. he just happened to be black. I don't think that they like looking for
Nikki,
black men
that's that
specifically.
entire race, actually.
I don't think KOD really. You think they're just looking for any man?
I would say, yeah, a man.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays, they're looking for a man. They don't care about his race.
No,
At
but
the
no,
end of the day, then I will take what you said. Then I'll take what you said. I'll take what he said. But
No,
again,
I mean,
that
it
whole
is,
race,
it is what it is. That whole
race, we're not talking about. They know what they want. We're not looking at that negative then.
right, and they sit, they twist, they plot, they get people that got issues, you know, people that's going through their own confidence issues, and they'll get those men, and they just utilize it for what they need to, and they build their whole family off of it, and you know
Man,
that's.
I don't think that men like disagree too much with women who are genuine when they want a man, you know what I mean, that's, you know, well off financially. You know what I mean? That's not the issue. The issue comes in where we talk about the women who, you know, specifically only want to target men that got money and then kind of basically take advantage of the situation.
You don't think
that's
that those women out there who are specifically largely, again, Caucasian women who are taking advantage of sports players, you don't think that they're targeting them and then getting children out of them?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that goes on.
Nikki,
But
I kid you not. Nikki, I kid you not. I've said it a million times. I'll say it again. Black women are sent to university for self-gratification, and white women are sent to university to find a rich man. Period.
Athletes.
And no one can tell me
they go for the athletes. They go.
I mean,
for the
they're not sent there for that, but it's because it's a cultural thing, you guys. You have to understand this. But it's a cultural thing. But
if you pay attention to the majority of the fields that these white women are studying.
Tell me.
Okay, but what you're okay.
Phone.
Let me just say this though, because I don't like when people miss this part out of it. Because the majority of white people who go to college can pay to go to college because their parents have money, right? That's what we're talking about. So they don't have to go to college because they're like, I'm looking for a job. They're going to be taken care of because of their family, whether they find a husband or not. So that is not what the focus needs to be. The majority of brown and black people who go to college do actually have to take care of themselves and their family. So that's the difference. We're not sitting there like you should never instruct a black and brown child to go to college because you're looking to catch one for the rich person. We are a different group. We have a different history. We have to take care of ourselves. So I'm not going to sit here and fault black women or black men who go to college to actually get a career because they have to take care of themselves and their families and start building legacy right now. White people don't, not the majority, but like a lot of white people don't have to do that. They're going to college to experience themselves, and they don't have bills, and they don't have this. They have legacies that they're coming back from. There's a total difference for us, and it's not about they have the privilege of going there to find a rich person.
Self-gratification versus
that's not self-gratification. That's called being responsible, and we need to stop talking down on people who are trying to raise their legacy.
I'm not talking down on them. This is historic.
Self-gratification is negative. Self-gratification is negative. Saying that black women are going to college for self-gratification is negative.
Yeah, I say it could be self-gratification too, simply based on what the majority are even going to what they're graduating for.
Women who have studied and who aren't happy or who aren't in their own field, that they spend all this money.
That's exactly where I was going.
Okay, but then you're sitting there ignoring structural racism. You're ignoring the whole history of it. It's not self-gratification.
I'm not.
No, you are.
Historically speaking, our ancestors have always sat there and said, yeah, you have to go to school. You got to go to college. You have to get this education because no one's going to hand you anything. Whereas if you've ever grown up or if you've ever been around palm-colored people, the first thing that they're going to ask their daughters is, did you find a husband?
Okay, but you're ignoring the fact that they're not coming from